I'm literally so tired of speaking about Alicia that I physically cannot bring myself to do it.
This video will be read out by Jenna. I will be using I and me when referring to Alyssa. Here in retrospect, Cody Rants, this Gabby Hanna fan goes too far, addressing Cody Rants' video about me since drama channels nowadays can't seem to research things. He starts off by listing what city I'm in, which honestly is odd because they themselves said it's not relevant to the story, and asked people not to bring it up if they cover the story. If it's not relevant, why did you mention it? Cody finds it necessary to squeeze in the drama surrounding Gabby, despite the fact it's barely relevant to the story. Jen and I first interacted with each other when I called her out for lying about one of Gabby's response videos. This, however, is a completely separate situation from the one Cody goes on to speak about. At 2:41, Cody makes multiple very loaded statements about the fandom as a whole, and about situations I personally have no part in. When Jen was falsely accused of SAing someone, which we believed the accuser, why wouldn't we? How would that be any different from what Gabby did to Jessie? We have zero proof any which way on whether it was a false accusation. Why does Cody expect Jen to get special treatment when it comes to such a serious claim? I personally can vouch that I reached out asking for proof and never once accused Jen. We didn't just believe them because we're Gabby Hanna fans and we dislike Jen because she sides with Jessie. We trusted, but verified, because it's incredibly harmful and traumatic to tell someone they're lying about such a serious claim. We learned from Gabby's mistakes, and we weren't going to be making the same ones. The fact that this is included in the video addressing our situation is simply there to paint both me and the fandom in as negative a light as possible. How could you possibly side with me after I affiliate myself with people like that? Except, I didn't. That wasn't me. I never once contacted Jen's employers. What would I even gain from that? Everything I did was for two reasons. Originally, because Jen was lying. That has nothing to do with Gabby, and everything to do with the fact that my autism causes justice sensitivity.
People differ systematically in their inclination to perceive injustice and the strength of their cognitive, emotional, and behavioral reactions. These differences have been found to be consistent across types of injustices and relatively stable across time. Justice sensitivity has been differentiated according to the perspectives that can be adopted towards injustice: victim, observer, beneficiary, perpetrator. In sum, a substantial body of evidence highlights the importance of justice sensitivity for a complete understanding of justice-related phenomena such as protest, retaliation and forgiveness, cooperation, altruistic sharing, compensation and punishment, moral courage, and solidarity.
The second reason was because Jen used my intellectual property without paying for it, or even asking for the right to use it, whilst also disparaging it. You don't have to like it, but you, as a self-admitted trust fund baby who works as a nurse and is known as a Viner, don't get to use my work as a small creator without paying for it. It's as simple as that. It's less than $1. Cody including Gabby's text at 3:12 is truly irrelevant, seeing as previously mentioned, I wasn't part of the people involved in spreading the accusation against Jen. Cody finally manages to get to that point 5 minutes into the video. This is the one gripe that's not necessarily for me to point out, but I'm 100% not a micro-influencer, fully playing semantics here, but the correct word would be nano-influencer, and even then, I wasn't a nano-influencer until 2022. The main reason this is a problem for me is because Hello Leash tried to characterize me as a public figure when I was doxxed, saying that it was allowed, that it's all public information because I was a public figure. I had 300 to 500 followers and 170 subscribers at that time. I was not a public figure, nor was I a micro-influencer. Cody stated around 5:55 to 6 that I was a part of the people harassing Jen. But let's not get it twisted. Jen was the one mocking abuse survivors while they were actively part of their abuse situations, doxing the same abuse survivor during the same situation, which put them more at risk of their abuser finding their Twitter, doxing minors, harassing minors, sneaking into the Discord server, and collecting traumatic stories we would share in vent sessions together, constantly targeting and harassing us, and to this very year, still talking about me unprompted. Keep in mind, publicly, I'm a Melanie Martinez stan. At this point, I'm simply just a fan of Gabby. She's not my stan. As proof of my harassment, Cody includes these 2 images. I get this video was posted in 2021 and Trauma Queen did not come out until 2022, but I had to explain at least 10 days before Cody posted their videos that these are lyrics. Just an ounce of research, just a teeny tiny bit of effort, it might do them some good. But none of this is mentioning that my harassment amounts to 2 tweets, while Jen harassed me for years. Cody then goes to talk about the cease and desist. Finally, something I'd love to speak about. For those who are unaware, a cease and desist letter is literally a professional piece of paper that says, hey, quit it. They have 0 legal standing, and they are not a legal document. I could take a piece of printed paper and write, stop, with the words cease and desist, and it'd hold the same standing as any other cease and desist. The only time a cease and desist is legal is when you make it legal. If you involve the courts, or if it is ordered by the courts, of course it is a legal document. That is when a cease and desist letter turns into a cease and desist order. But last I checked, I am not a court, nor did I send Jen an order such as Cody's video claims. You don't have to like it, but yes, Jen did sign. She sent her signature, as you can see in the contract attachment, which is an acceptable form of signature to a cease and desist letter.
Contract attachments are added to a contract after it has been drafted. In most cases, attachments don't change the original contract. Attachments may be known by different terms depending on your jurisdiction, such as the following: schedule, exhibit, annex, supplement, appendix. Attachments are different from addendums because they can be placed within the contract without changing the agreement itself, and they may also be referred to as annexes or appendices.
Now, let's talk about my notary. People seem very confused on what this is, and honestly, I don't get why. I was well aware of the legal ramifications of adding Jen's signature to a cease and desist. A notary is a witness of the signing of an important document. Why wouldn't I want someone who's aware of the law in regard to signatures be a witness to what I was doing? Why wouldn't I want a professional who's seen the email exchange, who knows about what is or what isn't a legal document, who knows about signatures, to be a witness to everything that was happening? Clearly, everyone thinks I committed forgery, so why wouldn't I have someone professional witnessing what's happening? The notary is there to confirm that I am not some jaded kid who wants revenge and is creating fake signatures to ruin someone's life. You know, the way they tried to paint it? The notary is also the reason I know it's not forgery. That, and my lawyer told me such. Cody then goes on to state as much as, it's forgery, in my non-lawyer opinion, because I have eyes and can read. Well, maybe you should be reading legal definitions, no? Under common law, forgery is a crime committed when a person who creates or alters a legal instrument with the intent to defraud. False documents are falsely used to describe forged records, and counterfeit is used to describe forged money or currency. Last updated December of 2022 by WEX Definitions team. Legal instrument is a legal term of art that is used for any formally executed written document that can be formally attributed to its author, records, and formally expresses a legally enforceable act, process, or contractual duty, obligation, or right, and therefore evidences that act, process, or agreement. A cease and desist letter is a non-binding letter and does not have a legal effect. I did not alter a legal instrument. On top of this, there was no intent to defraud anyone. Cody then goes as far to say my cease and desist was a document. This too is incorrect, seeing as a document in the eyes of law is a legal instrument and a cease and desist does not fall under that. Then, at 7:30, Cody mistakes Jen's email to me as me emailing Jen. To Alyssa Perrine. Cody says, kind of creepy that you, Alyssa, were acting like you know where Jen lives. And you're right, it was super fucking creepy. And to act like she knows where I live, and you know what? It's been the longest 10 business days of my life because I still haven't gotten the actual paper document from her. I did, however, get an apology from Jen for even doing this in the first place, saying she only did it because she had a trauma response to me sending the cease and desist. Crazy how that implies I didn't actually break any laws, huh? At 8:18, Cody brings up Jen, stating, I committed crimes for Gabby. This is Jen coping hard with the fact that I sent her a cease and desist for using my music that has nothing to do with Gabby, and everything to do with Jen using it without paying for it. On top of this, Jen states that maybe Gabby will finally know who I am, but the truth is, I had emailed Gabby back in 2020 because Jen was sending me, her, and Gabby's chat logs from the first time the two had ever spoken in 2014. In these emails, Gabby had, in detail, accounted her abuse to Jen because Jen tried to belittle Gabby's experience as a survivor. The fact that Jen found it okay to disclose that information to one of Gabby's fans when Gabby had never been public about it before is genuinely despicable. That was never Jen's story to tell. So yes, I got in contact with Gabby. In this same conversation with Jen, she said that she and Jesse had napalm on Gabby. Gabby told me she didn't know what Jen could possibly mean, and now it's very blatantly clear she was talking about the phone call. You know, the same phone call that Jessie said was so traumatic to experience that she had to leave social media the second Gabby spoke about it. Yeah, her and her friends were boasting about it to fans, talking about ruining her career. That's the most calculated shit I've ever heard. And people got mad when Gabby said Jessie calculated her crying. Of course she did. She could have easily edited it out or put it on a black screen like Gabby did. They were calling it napalm. What else would you call that? A coincidence? Them bragging about it is a coincidence and not calculated? What's worse is that Gabby not knowing what they could have had on her means that Gabby truly thought she came to an understanding with Jessie back during the phone call. She didn't know what they possibly meant, and instead of cutting Gabby off or telling the truth back in 2020 when it happened, Jessie saved it and used it against her. Keep in mind, this was after Jessie harassed Gabby into taking the phone call in the first place. This is something Cody calls Gabby out for around 3 minutes into the video, saying, "All while Jessie is trying to deal with a family crisis? Super inconsiderate, huh?" Hope you realize that was sarcasm. But for some reason, Jessie gets a pass to do the same thing. At 8:20, Cody says that I spam hacked Jen's email. Fathomably untrue. I signed Jen up to Donald Trump's email listings because it was a big meme at the time. However, I wasn't the only person doing it. Fandom friend and Jen's new bestie Cade was also doing it, and was actually the other person Jen doxed in regards to the email spams in 2020. I don't know what Cade did with Jen's emails, but I know for a fact I didn't spam hack them. At 8:25, Cody admits that Jen posted my IP address and tries to say, "This isn't doxing because my city's public." Let's be real motherfucking clear here. Albuquerque's a big city filled with 562,599 people. It takes 40 minutes to get from one side of town to the other. That IP address, when put into an IP location lookup, took you 5 minutes away from where I lived, a place I visit almost every single day. If you're going to look me dead in the face and say that isn't doxing, you're genuinely stupid. Not, I'm retorting to insults because I have no argument stupid, but you need to research and think before you speak because the words leaving your mouth contradict each other. Stupid. Doxing is the act of revealing, identifying information about someone online, such as their real name, home address, workplace, phone, financial, and other personal information. Not only did she dox my location, she doxed my IP, my email address, and all my social medias that weren't linked to my public profile. If your argument is seriously going to be, "But Alyssa, we already know you live in Albuquerque," you have seriously lost the plot. You know my city, but you do not know my neighborhood, which Jen revealed. At 8:41, Cody perpetuates Jen's arguments that my having a notary argument is irrelevant, but it begs the question, did Jen sign the C&D in which me, myself, and I do not need a notary? Or did I forge a signature, in which case, yes, I would need a notary to act as my witness? You can't have it both ways. The answer is, none of them actually. I had a notary witness my transfer of Jen's signature to my paper from my side and only my side of the C&D. I had to make sure I had all of my facts straight when it came to signatures, cease and desist being a legal document, and what I'm allowed to do with this piece of paper, because that's all our C&D was in this case, a virtual piece of paper. Trigger warning, suicide attempts. Cody then goes on to talk about the Kes situation, but completely misses the point entirely. I won't be explaining it here since I did make a video on it, but I will explain the hypocrisies. Alicia was acting as if she was entitled to response from Kez, as Kez was actively in the middle of an attempt. Kez had asked Alicia for help before Kez's partner arrived home and took them to the hospital. While they were in the hospital, they didn't have their phone on them, and they were barely in a conscious state to reply. Alicia went on to paint this as Kez baiting suicide and manipulating her to guilt trip her, which is utterly fucking disgusting. Kez deals with multiple mental health issues, but they've been very open about their struggles with borderline personality disorder. Suicidality is something they've struggled with since the age of 15. Alicia was upset that Kez wouldn't tell her where she lived to call for help, but the reality was that Kez thought they had responded by sending the flag, meaning the UK, and Alicia had her name, but Kez couldn't elaborate because help had already arrived. To try to worm your way into someone else's attempts like that, instead of just reaching out to their friends or accepting that she is okay and you couldn't be the one to help, is just cruel and disgusting. Alicia made it all about herself and went on to shame Kez for not talking about it. Cody says two things. If your friend was having a mental illness issue, then that is their problem, not strangers on the internet. Do what you can for them as a friend. Yes, obviously. That is the entire point of the video. Alicia had no right to demand information from Kez when she was a stranger to them. But then Cody goes on to say, but if they make their issues public, then it's perfectly valid for people to have a public opinion on it. Like, no, fuck that. You are not entitled to anyone's mental health, especially not a stranger. You don't get to make triggering and hurtful statements under the guise of, but you did it publicly. That's literally just an excuse to bully people. Cody states that Jen doxing Jeriz wasn't actually doxing because they had their information public, but none of this addresses the fact that Jeriz didn't make their name public until after they had turned 18, after Jen had doxed them. Jen also doxed their Instagram and face, which Jeriz did not have public. Cody says it's good that someone reached out to my dad on Jen's behalf because he should know I broke the law, but like, who? Who do you think helped me pay for the lawyer and the notary? Why do people think that I joke about a lawyer fund? It's definitely not because I had things hidden from my parents. I never have and never will understand the notion that I'm being secretive about what I'm doing. Why would I? I've done nothing wrong. At 12:46, Cody says they're not sure if Skia was getting suspended because of Jen, but Skia didn't get suspended until after Jen made posts to report her account. It's clear we're blaming Jen because Jen got her account suspended, the same way Jen blames us when we got her locked out of her account for breaking TOS. Cody then tried to re-upload my videos to a Google Drive to not give me a view, so obviously I copyrighted the clips. This all started because Jen used my music without permission, and now they're trying to use my video without permission? Are any of us actually surprised? But hey, at least YouTube marks any and all engagement as good engagement, so my channel got a boost from them doing that. At 13:27, Cody references Jen's tweets about how Alyssa isn't my name, because my parents' intentions were to name me after their wet nurse named Alyssa, pronounced Alicia, ironically. The only reason Jen is talking about this is because she randomly decided to stalk my Twitter, as she still does to this day, and mischaracterized the odd facts I'll post about myself for my friends to read. They're also reference to me not having a job. No, I don't. I'm fucking disabled, dude. The fact that a goddamn nurse was perpetuating this gross negative stereotype about needing to work, and if you don't work you're a lazy NEET, when disabled people exist. Not everyone can physically get a job. I have a form of scoliosis, and all jobs that are available to me interfere with my disability. The fact that Cody includes this in the video is abhorrent. Cody includes Jen talking about Skia's messages. Yes, Skia used to disagree with things Gabby said in the phone call and thought Gabby could be malicious. Over time, however, after having time to process everything and knowing everything we were told, Skia no longer believes what she said here. In fact, Skia felt very manipulated by the way Jen was speaking about her abusive situation, which is what these blurred messages were, and the reason Jen was asking Skia about her life. In Jen's TikTok, which Cody included in their video, Jen calls me transgender. I'm not trans, however, I'm neurogender, and identify as gender non-conforming under the non-binary umbrella. I just want to say, it's very easy to confuse this because I do use non-binary as an umbrella label, so most would assume I'm trans. Jen also claimed I do everything for Gabby. But as previously stated, no. I do everything I do because I fucking hate injustice, and I hate liars. The fact of the matter is, Jen wasn't involved either. She butts her way into Gabby's blackmail situation because Curtis did blackmail Gabby, and Jen went out of her way to DM Curtis, a fucking rapist, to disprove Gabby. The same man who lied about raping Jesse is supposedly the beacon of truth when it comes to Gabby. It's disgusting. It's outright just plain fucking disgusting. There is zero excuse for talking to a rapist, let alone after you publicly shame and berate someone for doing the same thing while actively being blackmailed. That's disgusting, and hypocritical, and fucking wrong. Jen says, I would never send a legal document like this. And that's true, because a cease and desist is not a legal document. If I sound like I keep having to repeat myself with that, then welcome to the past 3 years of my life. I don't know what's so hard to grasp about that for these people. Also, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's only illegal to cold email people for offers, like buying things. It's not illegal to sign people up for email listings, especially when your email is publicly listed on your account. All in all, that was Cody's video about me, and thus my response. I hope this cleared some things up, and I'm sorry if this was long. It's been on my mind since the day it was created, but I wasn't quite sure how to respond. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to like and subscribe and tweet this video as a link, then I would be very, very happy. I'm joking. How do I sign off? Thank you for watching, and I hope you all learned something about the legal system this video. You can follow me on Twitter at OnceTheyMerge, or you can follow my other social medias that are definitely linked in my bio, because I love to plug myself. Also, you should follow Jenna is Famous BW on Twitter, because she is really cool.
And with that, that'll be the end of the video. Thank you so much to Jenna for being my voice for this video. During 2020 to 2022, I was constantly harassed, berated, dehumanized. I had my essay made fun of. I had my weight and looks made fun of. I had my identity mocked, my parents were harassed, my heritage questioned, and when that didn't work, they tried to dig up my grandparents' marriage certificates for some reason. I don't think it's affected me the way the CB situation has affected others, but I'm thankful to be able to get this off my chest and hopefully move on from that era in my life. This entire situation is genuinely one of the most exhausting, and honestly, I'm just over it. Thank you for listening. And to lighten the mood, some bloopers.
Is when you make it legal. I've just realised you're going to put all these things in the blooper reel at the end, or you're going to make a separate video full of blooper reels. Oh no. That it's all public because, oh my god, Alyssa, you've spelled that wrong. This, however, is a completely... Oh, I literally hate the way Alyssa, why do you word things like this? Because the British doesn't do it. I mean, and the American doesn't do it either, but Americans don't use big words, you're just a smart one. Because I still haven't gotten the actual... Alyssa! Shut up! And you know what? It's been the longest 10 days. Oh my god, I can't even say it. Alyssa, I love you. Because I still... And you know what? It's been the longest 10 days of my life because I still haven't gotten the actual paper document from her. I can't redo it, Alyssa, I can't. Oh my god. It's abhorrent. Aberrant. Oh, Alyssa, just use normal words. I'm gonna kill myself. I wasn't a part of the people involved in spreading that Oh, Alyssa! Just did a massive burp that I wish was in the recording. I'm really sad. Okay. Illegal. I actually hate you. And that, oh my god, I hate you. Or agreement. I hate you, Alyssa. This too. Oh, I hate you. Gabby had. Oh my god, I hate you. The fact that Jen found it okay to oh my god, I hate you. I have eyes. Oh my god, I hate you. And oh my god, fuck you, Alyssa. Oh my god, I can't even say it. Alyssa, I love you. I get this video was posted in 21... Oh! Cody then go on... Oh! I'm not putting the LMFAO part in there. Protects. Oh, I got it so... I'm redoing that last bit. I sent, oh my god, Alyssa. So most would assume I'm trans. You're gonna have to edit that bit, I can't be fucked. You use big words. Okay, redo that paragraph again. Like, delete the also part of it. You need to research and think before you speak because the words leaving your mouth contradict each other. Stupid.
The damage you can never undo, kinda stupid. And open all the cages in the zoo, kinda stupid. Truly, you didn't think this through, kinda stupid.
I'm the burp. Oh, I just threw up in my mouth. Okay. Thanks for watching, and Jen Dent is a Bye!